Welcome to the Stoic tie. Sometimes the universe has to take someone out of your life just to show you what peace feels like. You might think they're never coming back, that it's over, that this silence means they've erased you. But here's the truth, my friend. Nothing real just disappears. Energy doesn't die. It transforms, it circles back. And it always finds the one who stopped. Before we dive in, do me a small favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear will flip your perspective on this silence you're drowning in. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing on a beach watching the waves pull away from the shore. It looks like they're leaving you, right? But give it time. The tide always comes back. That's how emotions work too. People pull away, not because you're forgotten, but because something inside them needs space to remember what it felt like to be near you. See, I know how it feels when they vanish. You start counting the days, checking your phone like it's a heartbeat monitor, wondering if maybe they're out there laughing while you're still stuck trying to breathe. Your mind screams, they'll never come back. But that's not true intuition talking. It's your fear wearing a microphone. Let me tell you something powerful. What's meant for your growth won't leave quietly. It will test you. It will walk away to see if you've learned to stand without it. That's what this silence is. It's not rejection. It's reflection. We often think we've lost something when in reality we've just stepped out of the illusion that we were in control. The Stoics used to say, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And my friends, that couldn't be truer when it comes to heartbreak. Most of your pain right now isn't from losing them. It's from fighting the fact that you can't control what they do next. But here's twist. You don't have to. The moment you stop trying to pull them back, you'll create a force stronger than any message you could send. Your stillness becomes a signal. Your calm becomes a frequency they can't ignore. It's like taking your energy off the auction block and saying, I know my worth. Now think about it. A flame never chases the moth. It just burns. The right ones always find their way back to the light. That's you, my friend. You're not meant to chase, you're meant to shine. And when you start glowing again, trust me, they'll feel it. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually the absence of your warmth will start to ache. They might tell themselves they've moved on, that they don't care, that they're fine. But deep down, something will always whisper your name when life gets quiet. Because they are not just another person they met. You are an experience, and experienced in fade, they echo. So stop waiting for them to reach out and start becoming the version of you they won't recognize. The one that's stronger, calmer, wiser, untouchable. That's your real comeback story. You don't have to get them back to win this. You just have to get yourself back. Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. And that's what this journey is about. Taking back that power, breath by breath, step by step. So if you're sitting there thinking, they're never coming back, remember this. It's not over. It's just quiet. And sometimes silence is where the universe does its best work. Write this in the comments right now to lock it in. I choose peace. Say it, feel it, and remind yourself you are the calm before their storm. Stay with me, my friends, because what's coming next will change the way you see everything. Number 1. The lie your mind keeps repeating. It's not the breakup that destroys you. It's the story you tell yourself afterward. My friends, this is where most people get stuck. It's not that they're gone that hurts the most. It's the voice in your head that keeps whispering, they're never coming back. That voice becomes louder than your logic, heavier than your truth. It paints pictures in your mind of them laughing with someone else, forgetting your name, moving on as if you were just a short chapter in their long story. But here's the catch. Your mind is not showing you reality. It's showing you fear. Imagine this. You're standing in front of a house that's burning down. Every instinct tells you to run insedato, save what's left, to grab whatever you can before it's gone forever. But if you do, you'll burn with it. That's what happens when you chase someone who has already walked away. You don't save the love. You just get burned by the memory you fit. And yet, most people still run into the fire. Why? Because they believe the lie that if they don't, it's gone forever. You might be thinking, but they haven't called. It's been weeks, maybe months. Doesn't silence mean it's... That's the mind's trap. It confuses absence with abandonment, quiet with closure. But silence doesn't always mean it's finished. It often means it's still echoing. Sometimes the distance is where they realize what they lost. Sometimes the space is where they finally meet their own reflection and understand the part of themselves that only you could bring out. You see, folks, your brain hates uncertainty. It would rather believe in a painful never than an unknown maybe. It's trying to protect you, to give you closure, even if it has to lie to you for it. That's where your strength comes in. Your job isn't to silence the fear. It's to see through. Because once you see the trick, it loses its power. Let's break this down. When you tell yourself they're never coming back, what you're really saying is, I can't handle it if they don't. But you can. You already are. You're breathing, watching, listening to this right now. Which means you've already survived the hardest part. You faced the storm and you're still standing. That's not weakness. That's proof of strength you forgot you had. Remember this quote, the mind makes a prison out of any story it refuses to release. And many of you have been serving a life sentence in theory of they're gone forever. You replay it in your head until it becomes a sire reality. But the Stoics taught us that reality doesn't exist in with, it exists in how we interpret it. The breakup didn't destroy you, the interpretation did. So ask yourself, what if this isn't the end? What if this silence is just the reset button you didn't know you needed? What if right now while you're missing them, they're also feeling that same strange pull, second, that creeps in late at night when everything goes quiet, and the noise of distraction fades because that's how the mind works. It's only when you stop chasing that they start feeling the absence. Your stillness becomes them. And yes, it's hard. It's hard because the human heart wasn't built for it was built for connection. But my friends, connection isn't always about being together. Sometimes the most powerful connection happens in separation, when both people are forced to grow into someone new. You've heard the saying, if you love something, let it go. If it returns, it was meant to be. But most people forget the hidden meaning. Letting go doesn't ask the love, it reveals who is strong enough to hold it properly. Think about if they were meant to experience peace through you, that memory doesn't finish. It lives inside them, quietly tugging on their subconscious. Every time they see something you once loved, every time they laugh the way you used to make them laugh, something inside them. That's the emotional gravity you left behind. You don't need to text them. You don't need to remind them. You've already imprinted something they can't erase. But here's the hardest truth. You won't feel that power until you stop chasing it. Until you stop asking, will they come back, and start asking, who am I becoming while they're gone? But certainly as an active moment your focus shifts from them to you. You reclaim your control. The moment you stop begging life to give them back, you start receiving yourself again. This is where detachment begins, not as an act of bitterness, but as an act of respect for your own soul. Stoicism isn't about pretending not to feel. It's about mastering what you feel. It's not saying, I don't care if they'll come back. It's saying, I'll be okay whether they do or not. That's real strength. That's peace disguised as power. And let's be real, it won't happen overnight. Some days you'll wake up feeling strong. Other days you'll want to break. But that's okay. Healing isn't linear. It's like waves crashing and retreating. You'll move forward, then fall back, then rise again, stronger each time. Because what's real always rebuilds itself in silence. So my friends, stop letting your fear narrate your future. Don't let your mind keep replaying the lie that it's over forever. People don't forget souls that attack them deeply. They only try to, and the harder they try to bury it, the heavier it becomes to carry. Remember, your story isn't over just because they walked out of the chapter. You're still writing, still growing, still becoming, and maybe, just maybe, that growth is exactly what will make them turn the page and find their way back. So look at yourself right now, not as someone who's been abandoned, but as someone being prepared. Prepared for peace, prepared for power, prepared for the return of what's truly aligned with you. Because when you rise from this silence, they won't be meeting the same person they left. They'll be meeting someone transferred, someone who doesn't beg anymore, someone who doesn't fear the quiet anymore, someone who became calm that can't be shaken. Write this down in the comments to seal it. I am never believing the lie. Show it to yourself. Show it to the world around you. You are ruining your story right now. And this is just the beginning. Stay with me. Because what comes next will open your eyes to what truly happens inside their mind. When your silence starts to echo louder than your words. Number 2, why silence feels like punishment, but it's actually power. You don't lose people, my friends. You lose the versions of them that weren't meant to stay. Now that you've seen through the lie, let's face what comes next. The silence, that long, heavy pause that makes your heart feel like it's carrying stones. It's strange, isn't it? How something as simple as nothing can feel so loud. The silence between you and them becomes this constant hum in your chest, like a song stuck on the same note, refusing toned. Every time you check your phone, every time you scroll and see their name and hesitate, that note plays again. But here's the truth. Most people never learn. Silence isn't punishment, it's power. The same silence that feels like your grave is also the soil where strength grows. Most folks panic when silence shows up. They start sending texts, checking old photos, replaying every memory like detectives trying to solve a case that doesn't exist. But silence isn't a mystery to solve. It's a mirror. It shows you everything about yourself that noise used to cover up. Imagine you're trapped in a cave. At first, it's terrifying, cold, empty, and dark. You can't see anything and every sound it shows too loud. But give it time and your eyes begin to adjust. You start seeing outlines, light seeping through cracks, details that were invisible. That's what silence does. It sharpens your inner vision. It helps you see yourself. Not the version they validated, not the one that begged for their love, but the one that existed before they ever showed up. And yeah, it hurts. It hurts because we were never taught how to sit with pain. Society taught us how to chase distractions, not peace. We're told to fix it, explain it, talk about it, get closure. But silence doesn't give closure. It gives clarity. And clarity is far scarier. Because clarity might show you that you were the only one fighting. It might reveal that what you thought was love was really attachment, or that what you were chasing wasn't them. It was the feeling they gave you about yourself. So when silence arrives, don't curse it, respect it. Because silence is not them ignoring you. It's life giving you back your reflection. It's life saying, now that they're not speaking, can you finally hear yourself? That's where the transformation starts. Silence exposes your biggest fear, that maybe you didn't matter, that maybe they've already forgotten you, that maybe they've moved on. But my friends, that's your ego speaking, not your truth. Because here's something your fear doesn't know. Real bonds leave fingerprints on the soul. You can try to hush them off with time, distraction, even new people, but deep down they stay. The same silence that haunts you now. It will one day echo inside them. The Stoics believed in the discipline of stillness because that's where strength is born. When you stay silent, you stop feeding chaos. You stop interrupting the process that might bring them back. You stop begging the universe to move faster, and you start letting gravity do its work. Silence isn't absence. It's alignment. It's not weakness. It's control. Ask yourself this. Why does silence feel so unbearable? Because silence forces accountability. It removes their voice, their excuses, their comfort, and it leaves you face to face with your own. When there's no message to decode, your mind can't run from itself. It has to sit with the truth. And that truth might be you were never the broken one. You were the piece they didn't know how to handle. A wise man once said, when you stop talking, they start remembering. Think about that. As long as you keep reaching out, you're reminding them you're still there, which means they don't have to miss you. But when you fall silent, when your energy goes quiet, they lose the mirror they used to see them. That's when their memory begins to ache. That's when regret sneaks in through the cracks they tried to seal. The silence that feels unbearable to you today will soon become unbearable to them. Because silence is not the end of, it's the beginning of realization. Every unanswered text, every unspoken word, every moment you resist reaching out becomes a seed planted in their subconscious. One day it blooms into curiosity. And curiosity is always the first step to contact. So don't fear the quiet. Don't fight the stillness. Let it shape you. Let it teach you the art of control. The kind of power that doesn't shout, doesn't beg, doesn't chase. Because while you're learning peace, they're learning loss. You see, folks, silence isn't a void. It's a vibration. And that vibration is doing the work you can't see. It's echoing through their thoughts. It's pressing on their conceit. It's whispering something is missing. And when that realization hits, not because you pushed, but because you disappeared, that's when they start to remember what peace used to sound like when it had your voice in it. So hold your silence like a sword. Let it speak language of power, patience, and purpose. Because when they finally reach out, and they will, they won't be meeting the same version of you that used to panic. They'll meet the version that mastered stillness. Write this in the comments to seal it in your heart. My silence is power. Say it out loud. Show it to the world. Let it remind you that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just the sound of your choosing peace. Stay with me, my friends, because in the next part, we'll uncover what truly happens in their mind while your silence starts to echo louder than their distractions. Number 3. The law of emotion. Everything you give out emotionally comes back to you, not always through the same person, but always through the same energy. Here's the thing, my friends. Emotions are energy, and energy doesn't vanish just because a relationship ends. It transforms, it circulates, it finds a new route back to where it started. That's the law of emotional return. You might think it's mystical, but it's not. It's how human psychology and memory actually work. When two people share something real, they create a bond that doesn't just break because one day they decide to walk away. It lingers like perfume on a jacket long after the person is gone. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt something heavy even though no one was arguing? Or smiled at a song that randomly played because it reminded you of a time you thought you'd forgotten? That's emotional energy echoing through space and time. It's invisible, but it's real. And right now, while you're sitting there missing them, that same energy is bouncing back in their world too. Maybe in dreams, maybe in flashes of memory, maybe in moments when they least expect it. See, most people believe that when someone leaves, the emotional connection just dies. But the truth is, emotions are like gravity. They pull, they orbit, they circle back. The stronger the bond, the stronger the pull. That's why it's impossible for them to completely forget you. They might distract themselves, dive into new people, chase temporary highs, but eventually the energy they left behind starts calling them home. Let me tell you something the Stoics understood better than most modern lovers. Detachment doesn't erase connection. It refines. When you stop chasing, you stop distorting the energy between you. You stop interrupting the natural cycle that needs silence to do its work. Because as long as you're chasing, you're pushing that energy away. But when you finally let go, when you stop fighting for control, the emotional current begins to flow back toward you. Imagine a bow and arrow. The more you pull back, the more distance you create, the more power builds up. And when you finally let go, what happens? The arrow flies forward with force. That's exactly how detachment works. The distance you create now is not separation. It's momentum. The silence you're holding is not emptiness. It's the tension that propels the emotional return. You might not see it yet, but they will feel it. That's how emotional physics works. When you were chasing, your energy was desperate. Now that you're detached, your energy has gravity. Before you were pleading for attention. Now you're the mystery they can't stop thinking about. But here's what you must understand. The law of emotional return doesn't respond to impatience. It responds to peace. If you sit there rechecking your phone, wondering why they haven't texted, you're still chasing. You're still feeding the loop of lack, not abundance. The moment you trail rails, when your focus shifts from when will they come back to I'm building me life again, that's when the shift begins. People often say if it's meant to be, it'll be, but few realize that meant to be only happens when both souls evolve into who they're supposed to be. Sometimes that means walking away for a while. Sometimes it means silence, because silence gives both of you that chance to grow into the version that can actually sustain what you once had. Without that growth, even if they came back tomorrow, you'd only repeat the same cycle that broke you before. Here's a hard truth. When you heal, you don't chase what left, you attract what's meant. Healing changes your vibration, and when your energy rises, it calls for what's aligned. And if they're meant for you, that energy will pull them back when they're ready. But if they're not, it will send someone stronger, deeper, more emotionally grounded. Either way, you win. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if they don't feel the same anymore? What if they've really moved on? My friend, emotional detachment doesn't require them to come back. It guarantees that you'll come back to your confidence, your balance, your self-worth. That's the real prize. Because once you master your emotions, you become the calm that no one can replace. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." And that's what you're doing when you assume they're gone forever. You're suffering over a future that hasn't even happened. You're predicting heartbreak that doesn't exist yet. But if you trust the process, if you believe in the law of return, you'll see that nothing real ever leaves for good. It only returns when both sides are ready. And here's where it gets powerful. When they do start feeling that pull, when that emotional tide turns and they start missing you, it won't be because Yabigdor reminded them. It'll be because they finally ran out of distractions. They'll wake up one morning and realize that everything they tried to replace you with was temporary. The silence you held, the space you created, that's what allowed them to see your true value. That's the law. That's the circle. What you release with peace returns with purpose. So, my friends, hold your silence like armor. Let your stillness be the message that travels louder than words. Trust that the energy you poured into them wasn't wasted. It's just taking the long way home. And when it returns, whether it comes through them or someone new, you'll be ready. Because this time you won't be chasing, you'll be attracting. Write this in Impermanence to claim it. What's meant for me will find me. Say it proudly. Type it bold. Show yourself and the world that you've stepped out of fear and into because the law is real. What you give with your heart, life always gives us back in its own divine timing. Stay with me because next we're diving even deeper into the psychology of regret and what really starts happening inside their mind when your silence starts echoing louder than their distractions. Number 4. The science of regret and human recall. Memory doesn't fade. My friends, it waits for the right silence to speak again. Let's talk about what really happens inside their mind when the noise fades, when the distractions slow down and they're left alone with their thoughts. Because sooner or later the mind always circles back. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And that's not just poetry, that's when a person walks away, their brain is running on adrenaline. They feel free, relieved, confident in their decision. That's the high of separation. It's not peace, it's escape. It's like running downhill, fast, easy, fueled by emotion. But what happens after every rush? It crashes. And when it does, their mind starts scanning the past for comfort, safety, and emotional warmth. That's when regret begins. You see, the human brain is wired for connection. Studies in cognitive psychology show that when a relationship ends, the same neural circuits that processed physical pain light up in the brain. That's why heartbreak feels like injury, because the mind doesn't know the difference. It treats emotional loss like a wound, and the person who left becomes both the cause of the pain and the cure for it. That's why they eventually come back, not always in person, but in thought, in curiosity, in memory. Think about it like this. When they walked away, they thought they were walking toward freedom. But the human mind doesn't delete, it archives. It stores memories like files in a drawer. And one day when life gets quiet, those drawers start to pick a song, a scent, a joke, a random moment, and suddenly they're right back there with you. And it hits them harder because they're not expecting it. That's the trap oftenest. It turns ordinary moments into emotional ambushes. Here's the science behind it. There's something psychologists call the contrast effect. It means the absence of something meaningful makes everything else seem dull in comparison. So when you're gone, when your energy, your voice, your laughter, your presence vanish, everything they do next feels like an imitation. They'll try to fill the gap with new people, new experiences, but nothing hits the same way. And slowly they realize it wasn't the relationship they were escaping. It was the version of themselves they couldn't face. And that's when the real regret begins. Not because they suddenly remember you, but because they remember who they were when they were with you. The calm, the excitement, the feeling of being seen. People don't miss people first. They miss the feeling those people gave them. And that's why silence is so powerful. It forces them to facilitate void without you there to soothe it. My friends, regret isn't instant, it brews. It grows in silence in the spaces where they thought they'd find peace, but instead find emptiness. That's why it's so important that you don't chase, because every time you reach out, you reset their healing. You give them the comfort that delays their realization. But when you stay silent, they have no choice but to sit in their discomfort. That's how the emotional mirror starts to form. And that's when they start to see themselves where you did. The Stoics knew this long before psychology gave it a name. They believed that time reveals what emotion conceals. And that's what happens after breakups. Time becomes your ally. It strips away their pride, their excuses, their justifications until only truth remains. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a house filled with noise, music, people, movement. You can't hear the creaks, the whispers, the echoes. But once the music stops and everyone leaves, suddenly you notice every sound. The clock ticking, the wind pressing against the window, your own breathing. That's what happens in their mind when your silence begins to echo. Every laugh they forced, every distraction they chased starts to quiet down. And what's left is the sound of their own thoughts, the ones they tried to bury. And when regret finally sets in, it doesn't knock politely. It crashes in. It hits them when they see Simeon with your smile. When they scroll past an old photo. When they hear your name in conversation and feel their stomach twist. That's not weakness. That's biology. Their brain is replaying gunfished emotional patterns, searching for resolution. And you, my friend, are the only one who can't be replaced in that equation. But here's the beauty in all this. Regret isn't your victory. Growth is you don't wait for you build your peace. Because when they do come back, and many will, it shouldn't be to find the same version of you that once waited by the phone. Its whole be to meet the one who learned how to stand without them. The one who turned pain into patience. The truth is, time will humble them. Life has a way of circling people back to the places they once felt safe. It might be months, it might be years, but one day they'll feel that pull. Not because they miss the relationship, but because they miss you. And when that moment comes, you'll be standing taller, stronger, calmer, not bitter, but better. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. So don't spend your days thinking of what's lost. Think of what's becoming." Every moment you stay silent, every day you choose growth over reaction, you're shaping the version of yourself that regret won't recognize but will deeply admire. Write this in the comments to lock it in your mind. I turn silence into strength. Say it like a promise to yourself. Because one day when they look back, that's exactly what they'll remember. Not the person who begged, but the one who became unshakable in the quiet. Stay with me, my friends, because in the next part, we'll uncover something even deeper. The unseen pull that keeps your energy connected long after the words stop. What they feel but can't explain. What you left behind that no one else can touch. Number 5. The unseen pull of energetic memory. You can delete their number, block their profile, and burn their photos, but you can't erase the energy of being felt. My friends, here's what most people never understand. Emotional connection isn't just memory, it's energy. And energy though hasn't just disappeared because you decided to go no contact. It lingers, it weaves itself into the quiet corners of their mind. Long after you've stopped showing up on their feed or their phone. You're still there, not physically, not visually, but energetically, and that's what they can't escape. Have you ever walked into a room where something felt off even though no one said a word? That's new. You can feel tension, peace, or love without a sound. Humans communicate more through vibration than words. And when two souls connect deeply, they create an energetic imprint. It's not just chemistry, it's frequency. And that frequency doesn't fade easily. That's why sometimes you'll feel them suddenly out of nowhere in the middle of your day. A random wave of emotion, a song that suddenly hits too hard, a dream where their face appears so vividly it shakes you. It's not coincidence, that's resonance. When their thoughts drift back to you, consciously or not, it sends a ripple through the invisible thread that once tied you together. The energy doesn't need a message or a call. It travels silently like a vibration throw. And guess what? It works both ways. When you sit there longing, worrying, replaying the past, that energy leaks outward. It reaches them. It's like tuning into the same radio frequency. That's why detachment is so powerful. Because when you finally stop feeding that energetic line with anxiety and obsession, you don't just take your peace back, you take your power back. The Stoics might not have called it energy, but they understood it. They knew the way the human spirit radiates it believes. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are desperate, that energy carries the scent of desperation. When your thoughts are calm, confident, self-assured, that is the energy they feel even from miles away. Imagine this. You're a lighthouse in the shore. When you panic, your light flickers, unstable, erratic. It can't guide anyone home. But when you regain control, when you hold steady and burn bright again, that's when ships that lost their way start to notice. That's how energetic memory works. You don't have to reach out. You don't have to beg. Your calm becomes your signal. You see, they might try to distract themselves, jump into new relationships, bury themselves in work, scroll endlessly through meaningless content, but the human mind is wired to return to what had felt safe and real. The subconscious doesn't forget emotion, and sooner or later, when their new connections feel hollow and their distractions lose their thrill, their energy starts searching again, searching for what felt authentic, and that's when it finds you. But here's catch. They won't find you where they left you. That's the beauty of your. While they've been running in circles, you've been evolving. You've turned your pain into presence. And that's what makes your energy even more amazing. Because peace, my friends, is the rarest frequency in this world. People always ask, do they still think about me? The truth is, yes, but not in the way you expect. It's not always a clear thought like, I miss them. It's more subtle. It's the unease they feel when they're alone. It's their restlessness they can't explain. It's the quiet moment when something in their chest stirs and they don't know why. That's the energetic memory of you. It's like emotional muscle memory. The body remembers before the mind admits it. And that's why your silence is doing more work than your words ever could. Every day you don't chase. Every moment you choose calm over chaos, your energy becomes more grounded. You become the still point they can't shake off because deep down they'll feel the shift. They'll feel that you're no longer reaching, no longer waiting. And that realization hits harder than any breakup. There's a strange paradox in all of this. The moment you stop thinking about them constantly is the same moment they start thinking about you more. Why? Because energy seeks balance. When you let go, you create space. And that space pulls. It creates curiosity. It creates emotional gravity. That's why they suddenly pop up in your mind or reappear out of nowhere. Not because of coincidence, but because energy always looks for equilibrium. You don't need to manifest them back. You don't need to visualize or script orcas. Just raise your frequency through peace, purpose, and patience. The more grounded you become, the louder your energy speaks. Because healed energy has a sound of its own. It's quiet, steady, and irresistible. Remember, folks, what you were to them wasn't just a person. You were an experience. You were a frequency that hit different and they can scroll, run, or replace. But the truth is, every connection they build after you will carry a quiet comparison. They'll look for your peace in chaos, your patience in conflict, your energy in noise. And every time they can't find it, the memory of you grows stronger. So don't underestimate what silence can carry. It's not empty. It's loaded with everything you've become. The longer you stay in your lane, the louder your calm becomes in their world. And one day, when the noise around them finally fades, they'll hear it, they'll feel it, and they'll know exactly who it belongs to. Write this in the comments to anchor it in your heart. My energy speaks louder than my words. Say it with conviction, my friends, because your energy, peaceful, grounded, detached, is your most powerful language. You don't chase, you don't beg, you simply become. Stay with me because next we're diving into that crucial turning point. The exact moment they realize you're not waiting anymore, and why that realization changes everything. Number 6. When they realize you're not waiting anymore. Nothing makes them miss you faster than the moment they sense you've stopped missing them. My friends, this is the turning point, the quiet shift they never see coming. You've been silent for a while. You've stopped posting for their attention, stopped checking their stories, stopped leaving the digital footprints that once fed their ego. And at first, they don't notice. They assume you're still there, still watching, still waiting. That's what most people do after a breakup. They orbit, they hover, they linger in the background, giving the illusion of strength while secretly hoping to be seen. But then something changes. You disappear, not just from their screen, but from their and that's when they feel it. At first, they'll shrug it off. They must be busy. They're probably just trying to move on. But a week turns into 2, 2 turns into 4, and the silence starts to feel unnatural. That's when their curiosity wakes up. That's when their mind starts whispering questions they didn't want to ask. Did they really move on? Have they stopped caring? Did someone else take my place? Those questions are the beginning of the unraveling. Because for the first time, they're not in control anymore. And that loss of control drives people insane. See, most of them expected you to stay. They thought they could come and go as they pleased, that you'd always be there as their emotional backplan, the just-in-case option. But now you're not responding, not reacting, not feeding their ego. And that's when the mirror flips. They start wondering why. And that curiosity, my friends, is the seed of regret. Imagine it like this. You were once a fireplace that kept them warm. They took your flame for granted, assuming it would always be there. But one day suddenly the house feels colder. And now, every time they walk past that empty hearth, they remember the warmth they didn't appreciate. That's what your silence does. It makes them feel the absence of your energy. The same warmth they thought they could live without. Here's the thing. When they realize you're not waiting anymore, they go through a strange kind of panic. It's not always loud or visible, but it's deep. Their ego tells them to act unbothered, but their emotions start betraying them. They start checking your profile again. They scroll through old pictures. They replay your laugh in their mind, the one they swore they wouldn't miss. They start noticing other people's attention on you. And it stings, because nothing makes someone crave you more than watching you be fine without them. It's in that silence that your power multiplies. The absence of noise becomes the presence of value. You see, attraction doesn't grow in chaos. It grows in curiosity. And nothing builds curiosity like distance that isn't forced. Distance that feels natural, peaceful, earned. That's what makes them wonder. What changed? Here's the secret. They're not missing you because of guilt. They are missing you because your energy no longer needs them. And when someone realizes they've lost access to energy that once nourished them, they start craving it like oxygen. But this time, they can't just reach out and get it because you've evolved. You've become selective. You've become silent, not from anger, but from alignment. Let's be real. It's not easy to reach this point. You'll have days when you want to break the silence, when you'll convince yourself they've forgotten you, that maybe reaching out won't hurt. But remember this, every time you chase yours at their curiosity, every time you fold, you erase the mystery. And mystery, my friends, is the birthplace of desire. There's a quote I love, they evenly chase you when you stop running after them. And it's true, not because I are playing games, but because you've stopped giving them the emotional food they were feeding on. People get addicted to being wanted. Your silence breaks that addiction. And the withdrawal hits hard. That's when they start asking themselves things like, did I lose something real? Did I mess this up? Would they even take me back? When they start asking those questions, the dynamic has officially flipped. You're no longer the one waiting the air, and that's the moment you reclaim your peace. Now, here's what makes this even more powerful. Your silence isn't revenge, it's revelation. It revels what's truly meant for you, because the ones who are meant for you will come back humbled, not entitled. They'll return with intention, not impulse. They'll want to rebuild, not relive. And you'll know it by how they approach your silence, not with panic, but with respect. Remember this, the same silence that once broke you is now breaking their illusion. The same distance that once made you anxious is now making them restless. You've switched roles, not by force but by growth. So stand tall in this phase. Don't chase. Don't target their attention. Don't break your peace just to prove you've healed. Your power is already speaking for you. And trust me, they hear it. They feel it. Even when they pretend they don't. Write this in the comments right now to mark your breakthrough. I am no longer waiting. I am rising. Say it, own it, and let the world see it. Because from this point on, your silence isn't weakness. It's evolution. Stay with me because next we're going to talk about something even deeper. How to become the version of yourself that no one can replace. Not even the one they could live without you. Number 7. How to become the version they can't replace. They don't come back because you wait. They come back because you changed. My friends, this is where everything shifts. Up until now, you've been learning to sit in silence, to stop chasing, to detach from the illusion of control. But now, we move into something deeper, transformation. Because if they come back and find the same version of you they left, the cycle just repeats. But when they return and see someone new, someone grounded, calm, unfazed, that's when they realize what they lost wasn't a person. It was an experience he'll never find again.